Seeing as yet another edition of Shada has been announced for a release at the end of the year, I thought that it would be a good opportunity right now to take a look at the Legacy Collection Box Set. Hello YouTubers and welcome to my review of this. My name is formerly the Obsesstuvian 95, now known as JC Productions. So let's dive straight in with the Legacy Collection box art. As you can see, the presentation on this is quite good. You know, you've got the TARDIS in the middle there, you've got the Fourth Doctor, Romana, K9, and then you've got a Dalek, a Cyberman, a Sontaran, and a kid who is a Doctor Who fan, and you've just got like this nice design pattern going on here. It's like a shade of blue. You've got the Legacy Collection there, and at the bottom it says it's 3 discs. It includes Shada and more than 30 years in the TARDIS. And the brief description at the bottom says, Tom Baker stars in Shada, the legendary lost story written by Douglas Adams, plus the lavish anniversary documentary celebrating 30 years of Doctor Who. This is a PG, and this was released in 2013, just in time for the 50th anniversary of the programme. If we take a look at the side, that is what it looks like when you display it alongside other box sets on the shelf. This is BBC DVD 3388, and it's got the Doctor Who logo there. It's got another small picture of the front cover there, the Legacy Collection, and it just says Sharda and more than 30 years in the TARDIS. Taking a look now at Shada, here is the cover art for this. Again, it has the same images of the Fourth Doctor and Romana 2, which you see on the front cover of this box set. We have the TARDIS in the background, along with a few patterns, which I suppose is meant to be part of the setting of the story. And you've got like the church, which is one of the main settings again, and you've got the Doctor and Romana on the boat there, and you've got K9, and you've got that weird little orb thing which you see quite a few times throughout the majority of the story. This is 2 discs long because this was meant to be 6 episodes long. That is what it looks like at the side, and this was written by Douglas Adams. The Doctor, Romana and K9 receive a message from an old friend, a retired Time Lord living as a college professor in Cambridge. Is misplaced an ancient Gallifreyan artifact that could unlock the dark secrets of Sharda, the lost prison planet of the Time Lords, and unless they find it before the crazed scientist Skagra, every sentient being in the universe is doomed. This special DVD release features the legendary unfinished Fourth Doctor story, newly restored from original film negatives and studio recordings, with 1992 linking material from Tom Baker. The special features include a bonus animated version produced in 2003 for BBC. This featured the 8th Doctor, Paul McGann, and Lalla Ward as Romana again, in flash format, accessible via PC or Mac, so you can't watch it through a DVD player, you will have to see it through a PC or a Mac. Taken out of time, a frank and revealing explanation of why Shada became the only Doctor Who story never to be completed, featuring Tom Baker, Daniel Hill, and director Pennant Roberts. Strike, 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 how industrial action impacted Doctor Who over the years. Now and then, compare the Cambridge locations as they appeared in 1979 with how they look today. Being a girl, a look at the representation of women in Doctor Who, and we have production information, subtitles, a photo gallery, a coming soon trailer, and digitally remastered picture and sound. This was never transmitted on television. This unfinished story was intended to close season 17 in January/February 1980. It was released on VHS in 1992. It was produced by Graham Williams, directed by Pennant Roberts, and the 1992 linking material was produced by John Nathan Turner, and the 1992 incidental music was by Keith McCulloch. I think originally the plan was that the music for this story would have been done by Dudley Simpson, but seeing as this was more or less released after the classic series ended on VHS, they decided to use Keith McCulloch, who had already established himself as a musician on Doctor Who, doing the theme tune when Sylvester McCoy was the 7th Doctor. He did the 1987 version of the Doctor Who theme tune. The length of this is 110 minutes. It would have been longer, but seeing as a lot of it is just linking material, it kind of shortens the length of this. This was meant to be 6 episodes long. Here is the leaflet inside, and that's disc 1, and there is disc 2, and it actually features the other characters that feature in this story. Now, of course, this is about to get another re-release, this time with animation, with Tom Baker and Lalla Ward praising their roles as the 4th Doctor and Romana. I think that it's a welcome addition to the collection to do this. However, do I think that this is a really good story? Well, to be honest, I think it's alright. It's not the greatest story in the world by any means. It was unfinished. I think the whole legacy behind it, hence the term Legacy Collection for this box set, I think because of that, it's been released so many times and on so many mediums. I believe it is about to get its 6th ever release, which is just absolutely crazy. All those releases just for this one story. And yes, this is kind of going to get the same treatment as what the Power of the Daleks got last year. However, that was a story that was completely lost and it was transmitted, whereas this is partially, well, I wouldn't even say lost, it was uncompleted, right? And to be honest, I would have preferred it that they maybe animated more lost stories from the 1960s, but it is a welcome addition to our collections nonetheless. Right now I'm on the fence on whether to buy the new version which is coming out, but this version, as far as I'm concerned, it will do for now. I may pick up the new version, and that might replace this version, but for the most part, this DVD, it's got some good special features. It kind of tells us why this ended up in the state it was in, and I think that the linking and all that was originally done in 1992, they did a good job, and it was good of Tom Baker to actually come back and record some narration to link some missing scenes together with already existing ones. So yeah, apart from that, the story isn't all that memorable, but maybe that could be because of all the linking material. It may have been even better. It could have been up there with the likes of other 6-part finales from the Tom Baker era, such as The Talons of Weng-Chiang. But anyway, that's Shada. Now, the other DVD in this Legacy collection is More Than 30 Years in the TARDIS, which is quite different. This isn't actually a story, this is a documentary, as you can see at the bottom there. This came out in it was either 1993 or 1994. Basically, this came out to coincide with the 30th anniversary of the show. Of course, we all now know that this is kind of outdated because it's now 50 plus years and we've had quite a few events that have taken place in the last few years. The show came back, we've had a few more Doctors and etc. But we have a nice front cover. I really like this front cover, I must say. We've got the Sontaran and the Dalek, the Kid, the Cyberman, and we even got an Auton and the TARDIS. Most of this features on the front cover of the Legacy Collection box set, which I shown you earlier. But if you notice, in the very background of this, you can also see some of the title sequences in the background, which was featured in the original 26-year run of the show. It's quite a good nod to all the 26 years of Classic Who to actually feature all of those on this one cover. So that's one of the reasons why I like that cover, because we've got all of that along with a fan of the show and some of the most famous foes that the Doctor faced during that time. On the side, we don't have a picture of the Doctor, of course, because it's not a story. Instead, we've got a picture of the TARDIS. And looking at the back, this wasn't written by anyone, of course, because it was just a documentary. But this features contributions from John Pertwee, Tom Baker, Peter Davison, Colin Baker and Sylvester McCoy. So at the time, basically, all of the actors who were alive who played the Doctor. Of course, sadly, since this came out, John Pertwee passed away. He passed away in 1996, just around the time of when Doctor Who the movie came around, funnily enough. So this is an extended version of a documentary first shown in November 1993, so it was in 1993 that it came out, and it was part of the 30th anniversary celebration of everybody's favourite science fiction series, Doctor Who. And as I said, it includes contributions from John Pertwee, Tom Baker, Peter Davison, Colin Baker and Sylvester McCoy, plus a whole gang of their companions. More than 30 years in the TARDIS was a fitting tribute to a series that had ended in 1989, with many stunning recreations of classic scenes. This special documentary contains rare footage, deleted scenes, and classic monsters that you've never seen them before. And the special features in this include Remembering Nicholas Courtney, a look back at the life of Nicholas Courtney, who played a brigadier in Doctor Who, recorded shortly before his death in 2011. I highly recommend that you check out that special feature because I really found it really good. I found that special feature really good. I would have said enjoyed it, but of course it's sad at the same time because he passed away, but I highly recommend checking out that special feature. We also have Doctor Who Stories, Peter Purves, and he played Stephen, of course, and this was originally shot for the 2003 documentary, The Story of Doctor Who. We have the Lambert Tapes, Part 1. Doctor Who's first producer, Verity Lambert, looks back at the early days of the programme in this interview, also shot for The Story of Doctor Who. Those deadly divas, actresses Kate O'Mara, Camille Cudjouri and Tracy Ann Oberman are joined by writers Gareth Roberts and Clayton Hickman to examine the role of the diva in Doctor Who. And that's actually quite a good special feature, to be fair. When I first heard about it, I was like, meh, but having watched it, it's actually quite decent. We have the other usual special features on here, such as the photo gallery and digitally remastered picture and sound, and we also have an Easter egg, so good luck finding that. Includes footage from 30 Years in the TARDIS, originally transmitted on the 29th of November 1993, produced and directed by Kevin Davis. Oh, and I forgot to mention that the cover art for this was by Clayton Hickman, and the runtime for the documentary was 90 minutes, so quite a lot to enjoy there. And there's your leaflet inside, which also contains more information about the documentary, and there's a disc. And it's quite weird that the disc, it says U, whereas on the front cover it actually says PG, so I don't know whether that was a mistake or not, whether it is meant to be PG or U. But nonetheless, this is an absolutely amazing documentary. I would say pick up the Legacy Collection box set purely for this, seeing as this has more exclusivity to this box set, seeing as Shada, as I said earlier, will be getting a re-release very soon. I can't fault this documentary. Of course, it is kind of dated now because it is over 20 years old, but for the time of when it was made, I think that it was a nice love letter to the Doctor Who fans, and it was a nice tribute to the show, which by then had been off for nearly 4 years. So I think the fact that we actually got this in 1993 was a testament to how big an impact that the show had on British culture, and it was still being talked about even though it had been off the air for quite some time, and it looked like that it may have never come back. But of course we all now know that it did come back once. Unfortunately it failed, but then it came back a second time, and thankfully right now it is still on the air. So I highly recommend that you pick up the Legacy Collection box set just for this alone. So there you have it, the Legacy Collection. Quite an unusual collection, not the sort of DVD release that you would expect, but this came towards the end of the regular releases for the Doctor Who classic DVD line. So I think that the fact that it came towards the end, it was one of the last ones to actually get a release. It makes complete sense. I think it would have been really odd if they released it, like, I don't know, 10 years before it actually did, because, you know, there was a lot of classic stories that deserve a lot more recognition than this. Sharda is quite decent, but I think the main highlight for this, for me anyway, is more than 30 years in the TARDIS, and I think that will become even more relative for this release, seeing as Shada is, as I said, it's going to get another release later down the line with animation. Whether that will be the definitive release or whether they release another 10,000 versions of Shada, who knows. But for now, we had this to enjoy until the new release of Shada. So thank you very much for watching this DVD review, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for more Doctor Who DVD reviews coming to this channel, and if you haven't already, subscribe to JC Productions, and I shall see you next time. Cheerio!